Hey everyone, welcome back. So today is Thursday. Unfortunately, there was no video yesterday. I was working on Argo numbers. They provided their numbers in pounds, British pounds. I had to convert some of the stuff over into USD. They also provided their 6 months, which made it a little bit more difficult to get the quarterly results for Q2. We got obviously Q1, so we had to transfer the numbers over to Q2, calculate numbers basically. So we'll take a look at, obviously, Bitcoin, see what's going on in the chart really quick. We'll take a look at Argo. We also have Mawson, July production update as well, and Argo, like I said earlier. And we'll get into those videos now. And then we'll also take a look at, in the next video I'm going to be doing is the metrics for the miners as far as grading them on current July production updates and other things that we'll get into in that video. So as always, you guys know the information here is for entertainment only, not financial advice. Do your own research. I'm invested in flying coins and companies as always. Let's take a quick look at the markets right now. It's about, 1:30 or so in the afternoon right now. And obviously S&P is up about 0.8, Dow Jones is up 0.37, NASDAQ is up 1.12, which is good. Let's take a look at Bitcoin here really quick. And we won't look at the miners here, but we'll look at Bitcoin and Ethereum. So Bitcoin is at 21,545. It has been slowly inching back up. We obviously have the options expiry tomorrow. On Friday, we also have Jerome Powell, Fed chairman, going to be having a conference that people are going to be tuning into, looking to see what he's going to do with possibly interest rates going into September. And that's obviously going to have an effect on Bitcoin as well. So we'll cover that when that happens tomorrow, but we'll see what that's going to play like. Right now, we're just trading sideways, like I said earlier this week, that this week is going to be, we're going to be trading sideways basically until the news comes out tomorrow. And then we'll see how things go, whether we're going up or we're going down. So it'll be an interesting weekend. Ethereum is at 1,702. So it is up about 2.76% right now on the day, which is pretty good. And it has actually been going up daily here compared to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's been going sideways. So Ethereum is a little bit more bullish than Bitcoin right now is. All right. So that's it on the markets really quick here. Let's get into the news that we do have on Argo and Mawson. So Mawson Infrastructure Group, Inc. announces July 2022 Bitcoin self-mining production update. We've been waiting on this for quite a while. Usually they provide this by like the 15th, 16th of every month. So they're a little bit late on it, but that's okay. We at least got it. So here are the details. So Bitcoin self-mining update in July, Mawson produced 90 BTC, which is obviously decreased from their June production, as the company participated in its energy demand response program, resulting in lower Bitcoin production as a result of participation in the energy curtailment program. However, the EDR program generated an estimated 1.8 million in unaudited revenue. 1.8 million is equal to approximately 84 Bitcoin, assuming the July average Bitcoin price of 21,539. So I guess it's kind of like a wash. They did generate 1.8 million, but they were obviously down on their Bitcoin production. And they do sell all their Bitcoin, so there's no HODL going into that. July average hash rate at approximately 0.7 exahash, and that's because they were obviously shutting down miners to generate income from the electricity demand part of it. So their installed operational capacity is 1.7 exahash, which obviously is an increase over the prior months of June and May, which is good. The only thing now is obviously having the prices of electricity come down a little bit so they can mine for the whole month. And then obviously mining, Mawson saw self-mining delivered and fully paid for operational capacity at approximately 2.3, and that's anticipated to be online in Q4 of 2022. So that's still by the end of the year, they're looking to be at 2.3. So that's an increase of about 600 petahash from where they are right now, which is pretty good as well. Hosting colocation. So big thing here is hosting colocation continues to be a profitable business, with major hosting customers Celsius Mining LLC making a payment for July hosting colocation services in August as anticipated. So there was obviously some concern there with Celsius Mining that they were going bankrupt because of their Celsius, the main Celsius group, which was obviously the lending and everything else, that was going bust. There was some concern that Celsius Mining would also go bust and Mawson would be on the hook for that. So this is at least a good thing. And let's see here. Energy demand response. So in response to movements in energy markets, Mawson is actively engaging in energy demand response programs at its operations, which involve curtailed uptime in exchange for energy demand response revenue and avoided energy costs. When the energy prices are low, Mawson engages in Bitcoin mining and generates revenue by selling self-mined Bitcoin daily, as it has from inception. When energy prices are high and where available, Mawson engages in energy demand response programs, receiving revenue and reducing overall energy costs, which is good. It's basically a wash there a little bit, maybe a little bit better on when they do curtail, they might make a little bit more on that. In the month of July, Mawson generated an audit 1.8. We already covered that. That equates to about 84 Bitcoins, assuming that price there. And that is it on the update part. Let's take a look at the numbers that I have for them, and then we'll get into Argo here. Oh, this is part of the metrics that I'm using here for the miners, but we'll get into the next video here. So let's get into Mawson here. And Mawson obviously provided 90 BTC that were mined in July. Obviously, that's a decrease from 127 in June. And we've seen this steady decline here from May to June to now July, which isn't good. They were kind of going up here in the beginning of the year. And then after May, they've declined here in the production of BTC, which isn't good. Let me see if I can zoom this in for you guys a little bit, make it a little bit bigger. There we go. So I calculated about 1.9 million in revenue based on the ending price of Bitcoin in July, more or less. That gave us a BTC per petahash of 0.0529, which is pretty low, basically because they were running at like, what do they report, 700 petahash or something like that. That's the reason for it on average. But they have 1.7 exahash installed and obviously capable of running. So that's a pretty low number there. They're going to get hit on that, on the metrics part of it. And then looking down here as far as which miners we got installed, going into July. So July we installed basically these miners here, the 90 terahash miners. So 735 and 1,500 of these to get us to the 1.7 exahash that they reported as having basically operational. But their average for the month was only 700 petahash based on that they were possibly only running for about 12.3 days throughout the month. And that got me to the 1.938, or pretty close to that. So that's what we used to get us there. And then we also added the 1.8 million for the energy curtailment that they're getting possibly for that. That brought us up to 3.73 million in revenue for the month. And I don't know if this is a good way to do it, where I'm adding that in there or just calculating the self-mining by itself. This may kick me in the butt later on when they actually provide quarterly results. And my numbers might be off a little bit on that. That's the only thing I can think of where this could be causing me trouble. But other than that, we're looking at 3.7 million. So that would be actually pretty good. That would be an increase over the prior month, which was 2.6 million roughly that we estimated. And this month would be obviously an increase of 1.1 million roughly, if that's the case. Or July is the 3.7 million. So looking at that, we're using the current quarter revenue. Well, we should probably update this last 3 quarters because they did provide us. So let's update that really quick. This should be this current quarter. The last 3 quarters should be, let's add that one and subtract the oldest quarter here, Q3. So now we are at 55 million roughly for the past 3 quarters, 13.2 million. If things stay the same, which they won't, Bitcoin price could go down, it could go up. But this is just a rough estimate right now is where we could be based on the current numbers that we do have. So combined total of about 68 million. That would get us with a 50% net income from gross revenue. We're looking at about $7.11 at a P of 15. And if we're using 75% net income from gross revenue, we're looking at $10.67 still with the 15 PE. They're at 68 cents. There is obviously some concern for them with their debt. If we look at the miner comparison here and we go up to the debt part of it, where's Mawson? Mawson is right here. So that's what we want to take a look at. The big part is obviously the current ratio, which is 0.17. That's not good. They barely have enough money to cover their current liabilities. And the other part was the debt to equity ratio is kind of high up here. We want to see that lower. And their current assets minus total liabilities is a negative 78 million, which is obviously a concern, which we are having obviously a lot more of these miners be in the red here compared to the prior quarter than in Q2. We're still waiting on Iris Energy to provide their Q2 and DMG along with Bit Digital. So we still have 3 miners that still have to report on that. But given what we know, I think 15 PE is fair once Bitcoin starts going back up. I mean, we could also use 10 PE on them. They are about 56% installed from future hash rate, as far as reported that we have on them. And then we get us to $4.74 and $7.11. So I still think that they are way undervalued from where they probably should be. Biggest concern, obviously, is the debt. Got to get that under control and get their assets built back up a little bit and basically reduce current debt and future debt as well. So those are the only two things. Otherwise, everything is working okay. Electricity, obviously, is another thing. They got to get the miners operating for pretty much as much of the month as they can. We'll see how August comes in. But yeah, this wasn't obviously a good month. The only good thing was obviously the revenue that they got from the electricity going back into the grid. So that's it. That's Mawson right there. Not a bad month, not a great month, but overall good progress. They're at least growing their hash rate, which is good. All right, let's take a look at Argo. So Argo obviously provided their interim half-year results. So they're in England. I believe they do these reports in half a year increments, or the quarterly results, and then do a half a year interim. So it makes it a little bit more challenging to figure the numbers out. So that took me a while to go through it all. And if you see a mistake that I might have made, let me know, and we'll get it corrected. I try to be as accurate as possible, but there's just so many numbers involved here. It is possible for me to make a mistake. So financial highlights: total number of Bitcoin and Bitcoin equivalents mined during H1. So first half of the year 2022 was 939, a 6% increase over BTC mined in the first half of 2021. Revenues of 26.7 million or 32.5 million USD, a decrease of 14% from H1 of 2021, driven primarily by a decrease in Bitcoin price and an increase in the global hash rate and associated network difficulty. And that was a big thing there. And the other part of it here that was interesting was, in response to current market conditions and to reduce near-term capital intensity, the group is updating its year-end guidance for hash rate capacity. The group expects to achieve 3.2 exahash of total hash rate capacity by the end of 2022, and to increase capacity in Q1 of 2023 to 4.1 exahash, which is good. But here's the situation. So Peter Wall, CEO of Argo, said the delivery and installation of the approximately 20,000 S19j Pro machines from Bitmain continues to progress on schedule, and we still expect to have all of those machines installed by October 2022, which is great. The revision to our hash rate guidance reflects our current expectations for delivery and deployment of the custom machines we are developing with Epic blockchain technologies. They utilize the Intel Blockscale ASIC chips. We have worked closely with Epic and Intel to modify the machine's design to increase total mining efficiency, which has delayed our expected deployment schedule, which is obviously unfortunate, but at least we want to have, it's good that they're working on them to be as efficient as possible. So further, we are preserving our optionality by reducing our overall capital spending on these machines. As market conditions remain volatile, we remain confident in the performance of the custom machines and are excited to deploy them starting in Q1 of 2023. So obviously not too far off. We're basically 5-6 months away from that happening. And hopefully that does happen and they can actually get that going. So just a quick note on that. Obviously interested to see what the results are, obviously, on the machines here, not only from Argo, but Hyba is also getting the machines and somebody else is getting the machines as well. So that'll be interesting to see those results on those. All right, so let's take a look at the numbers that I have for them, and we'll call it a day on this video here. So here are their numbers. So like I said, they basically provided the first half of the numbers, which are here. Excuse me. I found the Q1 results. So then I had to take basically the combination of Q1 and Q2 here that was reported just this week, and then subtract the numbers in some spots. Otherwise, just leave them as is. So like current assets, we obviously don't want to subtract the numbers. We want to just have the current numbers that are presented to us. But when we get into revenues and things like that, we need to subtract or subtract things from the first half numbers from the Q1 numbers, if that makes sense. So the numbers in the darker orange are in British pounds, and the numbers in the lighter orange are in USD dollars. So you guys are aware of that. So total current assets is up, it looks like. It's actually down, sorry. I got too many numbers in my head right now. Total current assets is down to basically 161 million compared to 205 million in Q1. Non-current assets is up a little bit to 197 from 168 million. And then total assets is actually down to 359 million from 374 million. So a little bit decrease there. Liabilities and stakeholder equity is down as well to 76 million compared to 85 million in Q1. Total current liabilities is down. So that's actually pretty good that it's down. Total liabilities is actually up. So that's obviously the bad sign there. So 163 million compared to 139 million in Q1. And then when we look at shareholder equity is down to 195 million compared to 234 million, which isn't good. And then total liability and stockholder equity is down as well to 359 million from 374, which isn't good. And then here's where we get into the calculations part of it. So we're taking the first half, subtracting the Q1 results to get the Q2 results, basically. So revenues came in at 13.9, which includes self-mining, and that was it that they reported on it. So that came in at 11.8 million British pounds for self-mining. Did I do that correctly? Let me see. Oh, yes, I did. So that is the USD here. This is the British pounds below. So 14 million roughly at the current conversion. 14 million compared to 17 million roughly at Q1. So those numbers might be off a little bit because I'm using the conversion function in Apple numbers spreadsheet. And that might be getting updated here a little bit. So that's up a little bit. So it's going to be a variable there a little bit, depending on the currency rate for the exchange. Looking at other things, self-mining was obviously down to 11 million pounds compared to 14. So about 3 million lower. Direct costs went way up to 15 million from 3.5 million British pounds. Change in fair value was obviously a big hit there as well. And that was it. So they had a gross profit of 1.4 million pounds in Q1. They had a loss of 41 million pounds in Q2. It seems like everybody's throwing everything that they can into Q2 to write off things and just make it a possibly a bad quarter and move forward from there. Expenses, let's see here. Operating expenses was not reported on Q1. They did report it on the first half. So that came in basically at 9.8 million pounds. Share-based increased a little bit. Foreign exchange increased a little bit. So overall, operating loss profit, negative $55 million on it. And let's see here. What else do we have here? Some other operating expenses. It wasn't easy to do on this. So some things were charged in Q1, some things weren't. It looks like, but here's the numbers. You guys can take a look at those. But the main thing is operating income loss was $53 million compared to a gain of 1.7 million in Q1. And what else do we have here? Total comprehensive loss. So all of that is a loss. All right. So it wasn't a good quarter for them. And looking at their current debt to equity, we're at 0.836, which isn't good. And their current ratio is 2.14, which is basically their total current assets minus or divided by total current liabilities. So they at least have 2 times to pay their current debt. So that's okay there. But the debt equity is a little high there. Obviously an increase from Q1 as well, and a decrease in current ratio from Q1 as well. So that's not good there. BTC mined per average hash rate, we're looking at 0.325, which is basically 327 BTC per exahash. And that's a decrease from Q1 of 414, which also isn't good. So they're not keeping up with the hash price and Bitcoin price coming down, or more on the hash rate on anything else. They just need to get installed. They can't speak. They need to install more miners than the increase in hash rate on the network, basically, to stay above this, which they're not able to do. All right, so those are the numbers there. What else can I show you guys here? So based on the current numbers here, I believe I have this updated. Yep. So those are using the most recent numbers that we have for them. I was off about 19% on it, which was pretty far low. I'm guessing that's because of the Bitcoin price being sold at the daily intervals instead of me calculating the end of the month Bitcoin price, which June had a huge difference in it, starting out around 30 some thousand and ending at around 20,000. So that's a pretty big change there. So that's possibly why. And if we're looking at them as far as with everything that's going on, I would see them at possibly being at 81 cents with a 50% net income from gross revenue and at 75% net income from gross revenue, looking at $1.22. They're currently at $1.46, and that is with a PE of 12 right now. Depending on where Bitcoin goes, we could go as high as 15 on them, so that still would be $1.02 and $1.52. So they are about a third of the way there or halfway there from where they should be. So right now they're trading at, let's say, at 46 cents. They're trading at a pretty high multiple right now, trading at about a 7 PE, which is pretty unusual. A lot of the miners are trading around 2, 3, some are even closer to 1 PE right now. So they are definitely getting the benefit of the doubt from the investors. BTC HODL, obviously, they still have quite a bit of HODL position there, 27 million. And 59% operational, about 60% operational from future hash rate. If they get more miners, we're going by just the miners that they reported on having here. So they still have a ways to go, obviously, to get there, about 1.5 exahash increase from where they are right now. So that is it. Not a bad quarter. Well, not a bad quarter. It wasn't a great quarter. Let's just put it that way. But it could have been much worse, I guess. So that's Argo and Mawson. Finally, Mawson actually provided their updates for July, so that was great. Argo also providing their Q1, which was a little bit more difficult. So like I said, if there's any mistakes that I might have made in there, please let me know. I'd love to hear it, and I'll make a correction on it going forward. As you guys can see, there's a lot of numbers involved here. There's thousands of numbers for all these miners, and one little mistake could obviously do quite a bit of harm. So if you see any mistakes, please let me know. Other than that, if you enjoyed the video, you appreciate the work that I've done, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe as well. Helps me out tremendously. And as always, the spreadsheet is available to my Patreon members. Thank you to everyone there for their support. And I'll see you guys in the next one. The next one's going to be on, obviously, the miners' metrics and grading them. So look for that coming up here. So thank you again, and I'll see you guys in the next one.